Good Friday afternoon. The time is now 2 o'clock, and we will call this August 30th special meeting of the Oklahoma City Deferred Compensation Board to order. Item 2 is items for consideration. A is going to be recommending the Administrative Services Agreement with Voya Financial for record-keeping services for the deferred compensation plans be approved by the City of Oklahoma City. And as we've discussed before, what this item really is the recommendation that the City Council would look at that. At this point, we're aiming to have this on the City Council docket on September the 10th. We'd be open for a motion.
So I assume this is the same as all the stuff we
Yes.
talked about, and there's no changes or
Correct.
includes the stuff about no options and that. I'll be honest, I didn't go through all 42 pages.
Well, as far as the options, that's going to be part of B, item B that we've got today.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Who was actually on mine's not working.
There it is.
Who was actually on the board, that the committee that put the contract together?
So that would have been staff, so the retirement system staff worked on that primarily, but with input from the municipal counselor's office. Okay, may have a.
So the committee that was placed in by the municipal counselor's office, and who else?
The retirement system staff.
Retirement systems. At any time, was the board going to be consulted on to who we would put as far as the selection committee or the consulting committee or the negotiating committee? Because that's twice here that we've had committees that have been put into place. One was to evaluate the ACG and the other competitors, and that was elected outside this board. And then here we have again where we do contract negotiations with Voya, and that committee was elected outside this board.
So the selection to select, or the idea to select Voya was before. This was just your typical contract negotiations, which would be typically handled by staff anyway. And as far as the other goes when selecting ACG, that was this board that selected ACG as the...
I agreed the board selected, but the people that consulted and championed ACG was a committee. We had all the people come in and give their pitch, and then the committee went and said, these are the people that we recommend, and we voted yes or no on ACG.
Okay.
So that's, and I know that's kind of weird as far as the way the city policy is on as far as the board really isn't kind of necessarily addressed in the city policy, and they treated it much like if we were the city council and the department head created a committee and all that type of stuff. Well, now we're representing department heads from all over the city. And so right now, my constituents look at that we didn't vote on anything. We just were pushed information and said, do you like it or not?
Gina, do you have a comment?
I mentioned this actually wasn't a negotiation of contract per se. It's taking what was in the RFP and making sure it was documented as far as education hours, the fees that were part of the selection committee that was before the board. And so it wasn't a go back and forth and make different options or selections than what the board had already voted on.
Okay, but
It was just documenting it and making
some of the
sure.
documentation that's in the contract right now has 3 basis points for managed accounts, which I thought we had voted not to have managed accounts through Voya, and that's in the contract. I can pull it up if you'd like. So that was sort of the questions that we both had.
Okay.
I would have to, I don't have it right in front of me.
I can see it right here, this VRA professional managed opt-in tiered fee schedule. The first 100,000 is 3.75, the next 150 is 3.75, and over 250 is 2.50. I'm guessing that's their managed account that's in there, because I was kind of under the, I don't remember ever talking about a managed account inside Voya, but we've heard so much, I'm not quite sure.
I was under the impression that we're opting not because that was such a fee gobbler with Nationwide and Mission Square.
Well, I'm assuming the professional management, because Gina, you sent me kind of the preliminary kind of PR or whatever you want to call it going out. And I think it said in there that the professional managed account was, it's an optional service that you can opt for to have them manage your account as opposed to self-directed. And I think one of the things it noted is you could get a 90-day free trial of that service.
Some of the one-on-one financial
Right.
counseling as
So-
such that
so-
you could elect to participate in.
Right, so
It's
this
not
is if-
something that was going to be.
Yeah, so this is if you want them to manage your account for you, you would elect to this and charge those fees. But if you're managing it yourself, or like you say, do it through Schwab or somebody else, you would not pay that fee, is my understanding at least.
That's my understanding as well.
I just want to be clear on that, the basis point, if that just, I'm not sure about the basis points compared to percentage point, but I mean, like, Nationwide's was 1% or less than 1%. I know that, and then any money manager I was gonna take my money to here locally is 1.5 to 0.75%, so it seems exorbitant if I'm calculating that right.
Yeah.
As $100,000, they're gonna charge me 3.75.
Well, yeah, because like you say, annualized, that's 4.5% there, basically. Isn't that right? 45 basis points would be 4.5%? I always have to try to do the math of what a basis point is, because it's like, is it 0.01%?
So that is 45% of 1%.
So their fee is 0.45% per year.
Okay, well, that makes more sense.
Okay,
It would have been
okay, yeah,
easier to
yeah,
put it in layman's term, I guess, for
Yeah, I always have to.
people like me that can understand the percentage better, but
I don't know why we don't.
maybe that's just something we need to note when we present this forward, that this is what the cost is going to be to have a Voya managed account, so it's not confusing, I guess.
It's an optional one, and I do remember it being part of the information that we were provided. I do remember the information. But it's optional, it's not required for an employee to take that part.
Questions and concerns? We'll take a motion. Got a motion. And a second. Please cast your votes.
You may have to go back to your live meeting tab to vote.
And the motion passes. Item B is the resolution designating the Oklahoma City Deferred Compensation Board Chairman or designee and the Oklahoma City Retirement System Manager as trustees to execute necessary documents to establish a Schwab Personal Choice Retirement Account plan as an investment option for the participants of the City of Oklahoma City's 457 Deferred Compensation Plan. And so this is exactly what we had discussed earlier to get the Schwab account. There are other essentially hoops that have to be jumped through to make sure you get that. But this would be putting into place all the options that the board voted for, which would include restricting the put options on the selection. The menu is the phrasing that they use for it.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, so Kirk will bring that up. Got a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
Wish to vote? Is it letting you vote? Trustee Aguilar, did it let you vote?
Yes, I was voting no on that one.
Oh, okay. And trustee Madera? No? Okay. And everybody make sure that's correct. Okay.
And the motion passes 6-2. And just as we've said before, with this account, there will be a lot of questions to ask. I had some of the other trustees or the board members ask, like, so what is that going to look like with the 75%, 25%? And along the time during implementation, we'll have more information. So just as with our general population, there will be a lot of education. For those that elect to utilize the self-directed brokerage, there'll be some education that'll come around, and that'll be working with both Voya and Schwab to see how that works in through, and working with our payroll, because there's a payroll deduction and how that changes with that. So there's a lot of information to come on this. This is really just the first step to get everything approved. Item number 3 is comments from boards. Staff, any staff comments? Oh, absolutely.
In reference to the contract, I guess this is page 3, and the top of the page, it says fees for this service will be charged directly to the employee pursuant to an agreement between the employee and the financial advisor, and will not be withheld from an individual plan account. What does that actually mean? How does that work?
Up top right, page 3.
I can verify it, but my understanding is it would be like they'd have to pay via check or direct deposit or auto draft. If they want to use that service, it's not going to be deducted from their 457 plan. They would have to pay whatever fee that was that they were wanting for that managed service directly.
And Ralph, as I read it on page 2, it just says, in addition, for more complex financial situation, a fee-based financial planning services will be available. So it's those one-off as they elect to be able to do so, but it's not mandatory for everybody.
And it does say it's retirement income planning, estate planning, Social Security, and pension analysis. So if you want them to run extra models for you of, hey, how soon can I retire? How much am I going to get from Social Security? They would charge. They could charge you a fee, and you'd have to pay that separate from out of your account.
Okay. And I guess also the very last line says this service is offered outside of the services described in this agreement, so it wouldn't be part of what we voted on today. But that's a good point. Any other questions or comments? And with that, we are adjourned at 2:13 p.m.